So, my labor and delivery story. My goal was to deliver this baby naturally, and I did it. I did it, guys, and it seriously makes me want to tear up thinking about it because of how it happened and what happened in order for me to have this natural labor. So let's get right into it. There might be multiple parts to this if you're seeing this on TikTok, so please bear with me. May 3rd, 5 o'clock in the morning, I started getting my first strong contractions, and I just knew right off the bat, because of how strong they were, that May 3rd was going to be the day. I woke up that morning saying today is going to be the day. I sent a text message to my husband and I was like, I think today is the day. My contractions were inconsistent throughout the day. I knew that I was not in active labor and I was trying everything in my power to get the contractions consistent, like walking. I had thyme tea, I had red raspberry leaf tea, I had dates, I had like 3 baths that day. I did walking, I did curbside walking, I walked up and down the stairs, and they were strong contractions and they were lasting a minute for, like, an hour or whatever the case may be, but they weren't 5 minutes apart, they weren't 6, 7, 8 minutes apart, so we weren't able to do anything about it, and I just knew that it wasn't time to go to the hospital yet. So what changed? My aunt came over, and my aunt is a nurse and she, knows the ropes around these stuff. So she came in our house blazing hot at like 3 p.m. I think it was, and she brought me she had some herbs and all this stuff. I don't even know what she created in my kitchen with all these herbs that she brought, but she made me a tea, and she also shoved down 2 tablespoons of castor oil down my throat. And I really wasn't sure if I wanted to do the castor oil thing because I've heard horror stories of people shitting themselves while they're in labor. And I did not want that to be my case, but I took it anyways because I really knew and wanted this baby to come out. It was May 3rd. May 3rd was my due date. So I was like, I don't want to go past my due date. Let me just shove this castor oil down my throat. About 30 minutes after, so around 3:30, I did have to go to the bathroom. Contractions started to get stronger and more consistent. And then she gave me that tea, and I wasn't even done. I had a couple sips of the tea. I wasn't even done half of the tea, and the contractions were strong enough. The contractions were 6 to 8 minutes approximately. And I was like, okay, I think we need to go to the hospital, because my goal was to do hypnobirthing in order to have my mind in a mindset where I'm not focusing on the pain and just focusing on the positive affirmations that I have in my head. So I did have this app, Hypnobirth or something like that. I'll put that somewhere down below. It did help a lot until we got to the hospital. I had to check to see how dilated I was. And I could tell you, I was 100% sure that I was like at least 4-5 centimeters because of how strong the contractions were. I got there, I laid in the bed, listening to my strong affirmations, and they check me and they tell me I'm 2 freaking centimeters. 2 centimeters. The same shit that happened last time with my last birth. I thought, I was more dilated, and I get there and they tell me, nope, you're 2 centimeters. So they were like, you could go back home or you can walk in this small area because we can't walk around the hospital because of COVID. So I was like, no, I'm not going home. The hospital's half an hour away. I'm like, I know that I need to stay here and I need to get my ass moving. So we stayed in that area. I walked back and forth. I did some squats with my husband. And then within 45 minutes, I would say, they came to check me again because my contractions were even stronger than before, to the point where my husband has to massage my back and counter pressure the contractions. So when they came back to check me, I was 4 centimeters. So from that moment, 4 centimeters is considered active labor, and they can admit me. So they took me to my room, and I was having a very hard time with my hypnobirthing because of what they were telling me. So the 2 centimeters, the 4 centimeters, those were not very motivating things to hear, and it very much derailed me from not trying to concentrate on the pain. So I was still in a conscious mind to know that I still can do this and I need to do this. My last pregnancy and delivery, I wanted to do natural with that one, and I gave up last second, and I felt like a failure ever since. So I knew that this would take a big toll on me if I didn't do it naturally. They told me what can really help is going in the bathroom on the toilet and sitting on the toilet, like facing the toilet and like leaning on it. They said like that position can really help, and basically what I need in order to get things moving is for my water to break. My water is never broken naturally by itself, so I was very doubtful. But they said, you know, if your water does break, it'll just break right into the toilet. So I was like, okay, let me try this. I sit on the toilet, I'm trying to concentrate, and with every contraction, my husband is counter pressuring. My method of aid was the laughing gas, or like the air that they give you. So I asked for that. They got that all set up and gave it to me while I was on the toilet. They asked me if I wanted to stay on the toilet or move to like the bed or the bath. I wanted to get off of the toilet and head to the bed. I found like an ideal position where I was like, basically like my butt is up here and like I'm laying down like that over like a cushion of pillows, and that seemed to be the best position for me at that point. But the contractions were intense. I forgot to mention that my headspace kind of started diminishing while I was on the toilet. I was telling my husband like, I don't know if I could do this. I told him before my labor that his main goal is to not let me get that epidural. No matter how much I ask for it, do not let me get that epidural. Because I told him I knew there would be a point where they tell you the transition from, I think it's like 6 or 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters is the hardest part. And I knew, because I'm terrible with pain, that once I get to that point, I'm going to be canceling myself out, wanting that epidural. So my husband, guys, was the biggest support in this situation. And for anyone planning a natural birth, like, have your partner do this, because you are I was listening to him, even though I was telling him like, I can't do this, like it's really hurting, I can't do these contractions, I'm not even at 10 centimeters yet, my water hasn't broken. I was like, I don't think I could do this, I want the epidural. My husband was in my ear and he was telling me, you can do this, Amara, you can do this, like this is what you wanted. I was requesting the epidural from 15 minutes after I got onto the toilet. So by the time we moved to the bed, I was literally like, I was moaning because it was hurting. So like every time a contraction came, before it's like you're breathing through the contractions. So at this point I was breathing, and then as I was letting out, instead of just letting out the air, I was like, like really like letting out deep sound. In between those really strong contractions, I was telling the nurses, I was like, I want the epidural, I want the epidural. And even the nurses were my midwives, sorry, even my midwives were great. She was like, okay, like if we get the epidural and this is something that you really want, we have to get an IV in you, and then, you know, we have to send the request to the doctor that does the epidural. And she's like, it could take a little while. So she was talking very slowly but really making me think and not make a drastic decision. And she was like, but you know, if you really want it, we can discuss it, you know, think about it. So she was giving me time to dilate. You know, like I know that she was saying, yeah, think about it, but in reality, she was giving me time to get through this transition stage. My midwife basically gave me two options, not considering the epidural. She was like, if you want, we could start the bath for you and you could hop in the water. It could really help with the contractions. Or we can break your water for you. And the water breaking was a little bit terrifying for me because I was like, if they break my water, the contractions are going to get stronger. And what if the baby does not come right after they break my water, or like, you know, a little bit after they break my water? Then I'm going to be in even more pain for who knows how long. And then the other option was the water, but I was so comfortable in my position, I didn't think that I could move. But I told them anyways to set up that water bath. So in my headspace, I was like, okay, what if they put the IV in? Then it's like you can't really move with the IV in, so then I'm stuck. And then what if I just have to do the natural birth anyways? So I was like, okay, it's better this route. So I asked them to break my water. I didn't want to move from my position. She wanted me to turn around on my back so that she could break my water. And I was like, do I really have to move? Because I can't move. Like, this is my comfortable position. So she broke my water in that position that I was in. Such a wild feeling. I had apparently so much liquid. And like, you could just feel like it's like a warm water gushing down your legs and everything, like, and there was so much. Sorry if that's too much information. Like, that was such a crazy feeling, and it was honestly amazing to feel that in a weird sense. After she broke my water and all that liquid is out, my body immediately took over and started pushing. So the contraction was coming and my body was pushing by itself. Like, I can't even explain how that happened. I started yelling. I was like, I'm pushing. And the nurse comes. She's like, okay, I'm going to check you. I'm going to check you. So she checks and she's like, okay, the head is right there. In my head, I was like, this is it. There's no going back. You're about to do the ring of fire. You're about to do this natural birth. Like, end game. Right after the water breaks, my body's pushing. The head is right there. They get the heart monitor to hear the baby and they put it up against my stomach. And they tell me that this baby is not liking this position anymore, which means that the baby's heart rate or heart was diminishing because of how quickly everything happened and the position that I was in. So they told me that I need to flip around and go on my back. It was very hard for me to do, but I did it. They were like, do you want to, the head is right there, do you want to feel the head? And I was like, yeah, yeah, let me feel the head. So I put my hand down there and I feel his head. And they're like, okay, so with your next contraction, they were about 30 seconds apart. With your next contractions, we want you to push. The next contraction came and I pushed, screamed. I had Alex's hand and I was squeezing it to dear God. I don't even know how his hand didn't burst. And I was screaming really loudly. It was like a ah. This is literally what it was like. His head came out with the first push. Now, I don't know. I thought that his whole body came out because when his head came out, there was a relief. And I was like, okay, I did it. I'm done. And they're like, no, that's just the head part. Alex is like, no, you still have to push the body out. I was like, no, shit. Reality set in even more because I was like, how the heck am I supposed to get the body out? I think that they wanted me to take a breather sometime in between there. Like, I was breathing through my pushing, but like I just wanted the baby out at this point because that ring of fire and the feel of the push, damn, it hurts, man. It hurts. Okay, 30 seconds went by. I gave a second push and pushed and felt his whole body come out, and that was the best feeling ever to be done. The contractions were gone. He was on my chest, all slimy and all. My husband saw everything. He got the full show. So that's it, guys. I pushed out my baby all naturally, and honestly, I do have to give this thanks to my husband. Like I said, again, if it wasn't for him speaking in my ear and encouraging me to go through with it and telling me like, no, I don't need the epidural, like this is not what you want to do it all natural. And in between my contractions, which were 30 to 1 minute apart from each other, during that like downtime is when I had 30 seconds to a minute to reset my mind and be like, yes, what he's saying is right, I don't want the epidural. But then the contractions were coming back, and during the contractions I was like, I can't do this. So yeah, it was like mixed emotions all throughout. As soon as I pushed him out and they put him on my chest, the first thing that I said was, it's a boy. I was like, it's a boy, like I actually have a boy, because even now I have my son and I'm still like in awe and like in disbelief that I have a son, because I've wanted a son for so long. We both wanted a son for so long. So yeah, it's so surreal. Obviously I was bawling my eyes out. The first thing that my husband said to me was, you did it. And I was like, I did it, babe, I did it. Sorry, this got longer than expected. But yeah, that's my birth story, guys. Just sort of woke up, but here's my little man. He's probably hungry. Isn't he a cutie? He looks like his sister Camila. Oh, you just pooped. Thank you.